Okay, so welcome to the Better Podcast, the podcast where we learn everything about everyone, and we have like lessons and stuff like that. So if you want to get better in your life, you need to be at the Better Podcast, right? But today, I have somebody on the chair who is more of an introvert than I am. Right, who can give you the best side eye, the side eye that will give you sense. You understand? But all that is wrapped up in a package of beautiful self-discipline. Somebody who's extremely reliable when it comes to work, as a friend. Whose superpowers, acts of service, and those good gifts. So we have none other than, and I call her KK, but her real name is KD Kadri on this. Please, let's give a round of applause. Emojis in the chat box, right, for KK on the desk today. Come on, give us exactly. Let him get that laugh. Okay, so like the video is saying, right, we are going to be talking about how to enter your self-discipline era. But we're going to be doing it in the way we do it best, right? We're going to be learning about KK. We're going to make her cry. You guys, be on my side. She was crying today. Do you understand? All I had guy was tough. Okay, so the point is, we're going to talk about her life and how she became the person that she is today, and the person that we're proud of and we're jealous of. Okay, so welcome. I'm going to start from the very beginning.
Okay.
I want to know your origin story, right? So this is the question I'm asking. Hear it very clearly, right? It is, what is your earliest childhood memory? Yeah.
My earliest childhood memory.
Yeah. What's the first thing that you remember about childhood? Like something that always comes to mind when you think about your childhood.
I don't know, really.
Think about it.
My earliest childhood memory. Okay, I think I would say when my parents used to leave myself and my siblings. It was just 4 of us then.
Okay.
Alone in the house, and then we used to act lots of drama. Yeah, with our neighbors.
Can you tell us what you were in that drama? Was it mommy or daddy?
It was mommy and daddy basically, right? And then let me just mention this. So we had these neighbors then. They were older, right? But maybe 10 years older or thereabouts. Okay. And then the ones we used to act the drama with were our age mates, right? And then the older ones would make us act the mommy and daddy stuff, and then make us kiss ourselves in the, so we're just all those, I don't know.
Who are you? Were you acting?
That was the first time I kissed a boy in my life.
Oh my god, this neighbor, we are looking for you.
Made us act, so it's fine. Yeah. Nothing serious really.
Yeah.
It was just for the fun of it. Okay. But it was a pleasant experience.
Wow, I love that insight. Lots of cast right there. Okay, great, awesome. So if you would, and we're not trying to show shade of mommy and daddy, right? But if you would ever to choose, right, between your mom and dad, like person that you learned a lot of things from, who would you choose?
I don't think I'm going to choose at this time. No,
I'm not saying you should pick like preferences. I'm just saying that so now, for instance, I think I learned more from my mom just because she was very similar to me. So I was always trying to figure out, okay, what is she going to do in this kind of situation? Even though we're not even like, I was closer to my dad, but I learned more, So
okay.
That's what I'm asking.
I think I learned some things from both my parents, right? I don't know. There's some things I picked from my dad. There's some things I picked from my mom. Yeah. There's some things that they like.
They're very specific about.
Yeah, and I don't want to live that kind of life, right?
Okay.
So they're bad examples, and they are very, very pleasant, great examples to pick from them.
Okay.
So I picked something from both my parents.
Okay.
I think the sternness. People say I'm stern sometimes.
Yeah.
I picked that from my dad.
Okay.
My mom, very accommodating, right? So I think each time I tried to be accommodating, I just tried to be like my mother, right? Because she used to be very, very accommodating. Yeah. But my dad, you can't even bring a friend home and have peace of mind.
Wow,
no, yeah, it was that bad. But my mom was very accommodating. Both of them were actually very, very strict.
Yeah.
They had their ways, but I'm not going to say that I was close to either of them, right? Because I didn't have that home where I could go to my parents to confide in them for anything, right? They just made us self-reliant. That's how they made us, right, grow up. So if you're going through anything, you deal with it on your own because they just feel like you are capable of dealing with things yourself. I mean, there are times where we try to like figure things out and we're not just getting it. My mom will be like, the person that started this thing, do not have two heads. You can do it. So you understand. So that's the kind of house I grew up in. But I feel like that's what made me tough. That's what made me toughen up. And I don't take it for granted.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and I feel like everybody has like that thing in their childhood, different things. Like it can be grief, it can be, it can be losing your parents early, it can be all those things kind of set out to make who we end up being, right? I used to think that, having like your parents being all lovey-dovey is like the greatest thing. But when I grew older and I discovered a lot of people were not as interdependent as I was, like Jonathan, they were more self-reliant. I now saw it as a minus because at the end of the day, in real life, that's what you need. Like you need to be able to be self-reliant. Of course, not to an extreme, but like to the point where at least you can get shit done and do it very well. So I mean, it is what it is. Everybody has their own gist. Right. But you said something there that we're gonna move into. Right. I think you already know that I no longer have a mom. Yeah. But I feel that the case is the same for you because we're using the was we saw it. Okay. So, but I want to say, like, I feel that there's the pre-era my mom and post-era my mom in terms of how my life shaped up, right? If I have any self-reliance, I'll probably put a post, right? So I'm saying that what do you think that you learned? What do you think is like the biggest lesson that you took away from like, and you can just share the story of like, losing your mom if you don't mind, right? And what it felt like. Did it feel like anything because you weren't that close, or did it feel?
No, when I say wearing that close, I mean in terms of you confiding in them for maybe what's the word?
You have to do stuff and stuff, right?
There's some times where you are in your feelings, you're having different emotions. You're just like you're going through one phase to the other. You're trying to figure out life. You're a teenager. All those same things. You want to ask them. Oh, I have this guy disturbing me. You can't. I didn't have that kind of mom. I didn't have that kind of dad who I could just go to and talk those kind of things with. Right. So that's my point I was trying to make. Okay. Right. But every other thing, they were there. I mean, schooling, everything. I mean, my dad was always there. Made sure that our English language was great. I mean, you can't even speak pidgin in the house. Wow. You can't. You've not perfected your English. Just speak a pidgin. Because my mom used to speak our language, right, to us. So that was why we learned the language. But I can't really speak fluently, but I understand the language. Okay. But it's just English. But schooling, they were there. Every other thing, they were pretty much there.
Okay, so we're going back to the question of losing your mom. How did you feel? You want to tell us the story? What do you think that you learned from that?
I'm trying my best not to be too emotional or be too vulnerable
We don't mind.
Losing my mom, it was tough. I mean, because my dad was the hardest guy, right? My mom was still like a little bit soft, right? So at that point, it was tough. I'm not going to say we now, just speak for myself.
Yeah.
Right. I have like 3 younger siblings. Yeah. Our last one was 2 at the time.
Oh, wow.
Right. I think I was maybe 19 or thereabouts. Well, she died. Yeah, 19. Yeah, 19 thereabouts. And then having to, lose your mom, and then try to fill in the gap of a mom for your younger siblings. And at that time, myself and my twin were trying to get into university, right? But I didn't make it because there was some issues with my O-level, right? Imagine they didn't register me for government, and I was an art student. I needed government to get into university at that time. So all my push-to was great, my jam, everything was great, but the WAEC was not great because I wasn't registered for. So I had to go and resit. My sister now had to, leave me behind. She entered school and I was just home taking care of my younger siblings and trying to like do GC again and all of that stuff. It was really tough at that point. And then going through all of the trauma of losing your mom, not getting into university, having to stay at home. It was a lot, and then I had so many guys around me at that time. So
I'm just saying that, like, okay, so because when we go through like really tough times, sometimes we either become one or two things. Do you understand? It's either become tougher or you like emotionally break, right? And you're here, so you obviously did not die.
No, I'm not gonna die.
Right. So I would just say that, I mean, what do you think? Is there anything that you took away from that like really tough experience?
Well, what did I even take away from it? Okay, I think that let me even mention that I was really depressed at that time. To think about it, and I was very, very depressed too. And I feel like coming out of that, having to, clear my papers again, my GC, then clear my post jam again, jam again, and everything. It just sort of showed me how very, very tough I am, right? And I feel like one thing I took out of that experience is the fact that God will definitely not give you something that is bigger than you. No matter the trouble it is that you think that you're going through, right?
I say this.
You are actually capable of going through that phase and coming out whole and fully sane.
Oh my God! At that moment, right? So I would now say that for you, I mean, and I'm asking in a roundabout way because we're bringing it out of that like experience. So of course you were taught to be a bit more self-reliant as a child, and we're just going through the emotions here. You had of course you had a moment of grief, and of course, and I always feel that bad things happen in threes. Like it's never like, my mom just died, I should be okay. No, my mom just like in my case, right? So my mom died, I think my church collapsed. My dad is the pastor. Like it was like 4 things at the same time. Somebody else that I was like, God, small, I beg.
I'm just beg. I mean, only me. I just want to be a baby girl.
Do you understand? Do you get? So I, of course, had to now be like, and I think that was where I switched and I became like, I started asking myself all those theological questions like, who am I? What do I want from that? And I'm guessing that's the reason why you even at that moment brought out God and be like, you know what, God can
see. Yes, so that's just it.
So you go back to your telios. Now going back to your telios, right? There are things that are natural for us as human beings, like relationships, people. I'm going to talk about it in 2 factions. You see where I'm going. It's how I did that, right? It was beautiful. Okay, so we'll talk about friendships. What is your philosophy for friendships? Because of course being a tough guy means that sometimes it's tough actually to have good relationships, right? Especially also being an introvert. I've noticed that people, I'm that person that will sit down and expect people to talk to me, and then if I don't get the message we go keep quiet. You don't just see us long video, we're just like okay, whatever. I'm sure that you're thinking in your head,
oh my God,
what do I say to her? And then what does she say to me? That's literally it. So if that's the case, right? How do you think that is first of all the number one way that you make friendships? How do you think that your life story really shapes your friendships? And do you feel like you're somebody who has a lot of friends?
I don't have a lot of friends.
Okay.
Right. Everybody wants to be my friend.
Friends.
No, I'm not even saying from a place of pride.
It's okay.
Or being boastful. No, I'm not. It's just what it is actually. And I feel like maybe it's because of my kind of person. That's why I just want to be friends. In terms of friends, how do I even make friends? I think most of my friends are from work. I don't have friends in church per se because I don't really go to church to make friends. I just breeze in. So that's what I do. The only time where I actually made friends in church was when I was a teenager. You know, then obviously everybody's going to be a friend. You're going to be everybody's friend. But as an adult, mostly work, childhood friends from school. The longest should be like 15 years. 18 years. And that's a lot. That's a lot. What's the other question again?
So what's your philosophy about
friendship?
Yeah.
Okay, so for us to be friends, right, you have to be intelligent, because I don't like people that are not intelligent.
Wow.
You see what
I'm saying?
You don't understand? Because we will not be able to relate. And I find it very difficult when people, it's a flaw on my part, right? I find it very difficult when people cannot see things from my point of view. Are you freaking dumb? How dumb are you? Do you understand? So you must be intelligent. And if you see things from my perspective, you don't necessarily need to agree.
I agree. Yeah.
Do you understand?
Just
but you are able to think that okay, there's another perspective, right? And then your ideologies. I don't like people that are not critical thinkers. I don't like people that cannot think for themselves. I don't like people that cannot stand their ground. I don't like people that are yes men. No, don't do that. You have every right to counter things if you feel like, oh, this is not right, or there's a better way to go about it. Right. So that's it for me, really. Yeah, I know that there's one of my friends from university that we're not really that cool anymore like we used to, and that's because of something that happened during the last elections, right? I'm not going to go into that. Anyway, I just told her that we had to, I just told her that, look, I don't think that we can be friends, because what I'm saying here, no, you can't.
Okay, so we're going to go to the other side of relationships, right? So I mean, for me, and I'm saying this on purpose, right? Right? Because I wasn't the one that used to carry friends. I usually had like a 2-friend group at every point in time.
And that's for me. I can't even do more than 2 friends. I'll be overwhelmed.
Exactly.
I'm not going to check up on you.
Exactly.
No, I won't feel so. We're still friends.
Exactly.
But
you have to understand. You have to be an understanding friend. You understand? So after that, right? I have, unfortunately, I have 2 siblings who are the direct opposites. What I mean is, my brother has a 10-man friend group that they give each other on his birthday. Gifts start coming in 1 week before and 1 week after we are still returning kids. Do you understand? My sister has friends, she went to 2 primary schools, all her primary school friends, all her secondary school friends, do you understand? Like, she jackpot and then she carried those friends. Do you understand? She goes for all the way. I'm like, nah.
Okay, I think that okay, let me cut you here. Maybe one of the reasons why I don't really have so many friends from my primary school or maybe my secondary school. It's because of the kind of schools that we went to.
Okay.
Right, and we were not really stable.
Okay.
Growing up, we're always moving in all around the place, and that's because my family, we had so many issues to deal with at the time. So maybe I went to 4 primary schools.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. So maybe that's one of the reasons why
it was
why
I'm
not
keep any
like,
friends.
Yeah. Then secondary school, our secondary school was because my older sister went there. They're like, okay, go there. She went there.
Okay.
I don't want to go there. Why are you sending me there? Because she went there. But anyway, it's fine. So I think that's one of the reasons why. And then the kind of people that were in that school, because it was a public school, right? And you know that there are so many different type of elements in public schools, right? So you have to be very, very careful about the type of people that you're mingling with, right? So that you don't get corrupted. You understand? You know the house where you're coming from. And the thing is, growing up, my parents did not outrightly say, this is the way you should do, this is the way you should act, right? But because we noticed some things in them, oh, they're honest people, or they're this type of people, we were picking those things, right? So like unconsciously we just were picking those things. So that sort of helped us with our choice of friends, people that we're mingling with. That's that your sister and your brother had some friends and all that. I just remember that, okay, maybe that's one of the reasons why I don't really, mingle with every Tom, Dick and Harry. So we had very, very specific people that we're moving with. So yeah,
that was beautiful. Thank God you brought us back. Yeah, because I think that friendships are, of course, like right now, I'm really jealous of people that have big friend groups. But still, I don't think in real life I can do it. Do you understand? Exactly, because when they start asking me, alright, why haven't you called me? I'm like, I'm sorry.
And I cannot just be apologizing
every time.
I'm just not being genuine.
Exactly.
Let's not be friends.
Exactly. So, but I feel like the friendship thing is also now a kind of level for our relationships, because at the end of the day, like, I couldn't keep up with like being in a relationship with more than one person. Like, or being in a relationship, or even so. First of all, my original person for boys was no boys. Do you get? So like, true, because I'm the type of person to listen to people's gist, and I used to be the friend that you come and gist that won't get touched you. You get, like, when I was in secondary school, like, I was the class therapist. Like, even guys used to come to me and like, oh, your friend is not behaving right.
Really now?
Do you understand? So I knew too much to be in any relationship. Do you understand? Because you understand, you just finish casting that you touch her breast. I will not be that guy. I can't fall. So and then that was the same thing when I go to university. The same thing when you said, where the philosophy of friendships of like people that have sense. Very hard to find people that have sense in, like, I don't want to call you like, but you're like that kind of thing. Well, and what I mean is, I'm talking about even our age mates, where like we're all 17-year-olds that came from 50 million different backgrounds, right? And actually, sense was rare in the sense that, and I'm talking about spiritual sense, knowing what you want to do with your life sense. Most of us were struggling to figure out what we wanted, who we were. That was like the height of who we were, finding ourselves and everything. Everybody was trying new things, and I didn't mind you trying new things, but like, don't try it with me. Do you get? So I was also very circumspect. I spent I think that was where I had my own spiritual, because my mom just died, and I had my own spiritual awakening, where I was now like, oh God. So I was in church, and so I didn't have time for boys. But I finally, when I got out and I wanted to see the streets, my dream was an Igbo man at the age of 40.
Okay, I think
it was such a weird. Everybody I know that is so weird.
No way.
Right, and you will tell us your dream. But all of us had that, what we had in our mind. My point, I don't know why I wanted to be a baby girl so bad, but the whole point was that I wanted someone to take care of me as a pete, blah blah blah. By the way, I married the opposite. But anyway, that was the whole point for me at that point. And then I now said, okay, let me make friends in this category. You see what I saw there. So let's come back to you.
Well,
the point is, I want you to tell us your own like relationship story, because it, like, being an introvert is tough sometimes, like, to get to know people and then or whatever. But like, the point is, first of all, who was your dream man in the first instance? Did you have a dream man? Me, I had a dream man, but did you have a dream man? It's possible you don't. Me, I read too many novels. I read Bills and Bull and all those things. So that was not about me. Yeah, I wanted to, first of all, my first one was Italian man. But when I saw that there was not much Italians coming to Nigeria, and the price of me going there was hard, I chose Igbo. But anyway, so your dream man, like, what do you think that relationships have taught you? We're not forcing you to tell us your relationship case, but what do you think the relationships have taught you? And I'm talking about like eros relationships, right? Presently, right? And what's your relationship stance as of right now, as of today? Those are so dates in April. Alright,
my relationship stance right now is I'm just taking a break. Okay. I'm still trying to clear my head.
Yeah.
Okay. Things that relationships.
Did you originally have a type? Did you?
Well, growing up, I mean, we as children, we always had that mental picture of what we wanted, right? Even in church then, because we used to go to MFM, and then our teenage pastor would be like, oh, pray, write down when you want to get married, write down when you want to start having your children, and all of that stuff. We wrote them down. We are past the age. We are just, it was funny, but anyway, it's just one of those things. Relationships. I've been in and out of quite a number of relationships, and I just feel like some of those relationships were not supposed to have been, because I would say that I didn't really have a mentor, so to speak, or somebody to like set me in the right path. Particularly when it comes to relationships, right? So we're just like figuring it out on our own.
Really?
I mean, my older sister is just almost 2 years older than me, so we're pretty much almost, the same age, so to speak. So we were just, going with the flow, saying yes to anybody that you feel like, okay, let me just give it a shot. Maybe it's just troubling you too much and you just want to say yes so that you can just let you have some peace and quiet. Some of those relationships were like that. And then there were some of them, in fact, I'll say 2 of them that were really a thing. They were really a relationship that I was looking forward to. Okay, something will come out of this. Maybe we'll perhaps settle down, but
perhaps another time. Perhaps
this will be a story for another day. We saw
some lunch.
An actual one that would say, okay, this was the one that we were supposed to have gotten married, because we prayed about it, parents prayed about it, and all of that stuff. And they said, oh, you guys can go ahead and continue your relationship. You are going to get married, but everything just went south, and that's because of so many things. I also had my own part to play in it. He also had some. Everybody had their part to play in it. They had our errors, our flaws, and obviously we learned from it as well. Some things that relationships have taught me is, number one, take your time. Really, you really need to take your time. It's not just okay for you to say yes just for the sake of saying yes, so that the person can stop disturbing you. It's not okay for you to say yes because of what you want to gain from a relationship. I mean, for me, I'm not a materialistic person, right? But for some of those relationships, I got into them maybe because I just needed my emotional needs to be met, right? In fact, most of my relationships are like that because I'm not materialistic at all. Like, in fact, I don't ask people for anything. They're like, you are too independent, let us take care of you. But I didn't grow up like that, right? It's not like, oh, I'm doing it intentionally. No, I'm not. I'm just, it's just natural to me to take care of my own self because I don't want to be a burden. I mean, even asking somebody for money is like, it's a burden. Like the thought of it, oh my god.
I know.
How do I even ask?
I know.
I don't know. I think it's a trauma. It must be a trauma because explain it. How can you not want to ask for help?
I
mean, and you're adults. Why are you trying to burden somebody else? But anyway, it's just what it is. Okay. So I was saying, don't just go into a relationship for the sake of going into it just because you want to say yes, so stop bothering you. Don't just go into a relationship because of what you want to gain from it. It could be material things. It could be maybe you want your emotional needs met. I mean, there's always a reason why you take a decision, right? But make sure that it's a genuine one. It's not just something that is ephemeral, right? It's deep. It's not surface level or deep gone. That's why you're going into it. And then do your values align? And people say that the signs were there. You saw it, you just ignored it, right? When things start going south in your relationship, sometimes the signs are not there. So just take your time. Sometimes, if we even take your time, say if anyway, you just do your own due diligence on your own part. If it will work, it will work. If it will not work, it will not work. Don't kill yourself. I learned that from my actual last relationship, right? Where I think we started our relationship in 2020. And then we ended in 2023. It was a very, very disastrous one because I nearly lost my mind in Speak Darling T's voice. I nearly lost my mind because it was not funny. Because you can relate, because everybody could relate. My younger siblings that I was always forming a guy for. Do you understand? Because you're the older one. You're supposed to wear your big girl pants and shoes all the time, so that your younger siblings will learn from you that she's like tough. If you see the way I was wailing in the house, like someone that even when I lost my mother, I did not cry like that. I cried for man. Hey God, Jesus, I wept.
Oh my God, Jesus wept.
I swear, it remains small. Blood that been coming out of my body. The kind of cry I cried. Man.
Jesus wept, KK wept. Love it.
I cried. I cried on the staff bus on my way home. Even because oh my God, I really cried. Everybody knew. My dad knew. My I mean, this is even the only person that I've actually sat my dad that were not close. I sat my dad down to tell him that we are in a relationship. Hey God! No.
I promise you. Of course, if you go through something as tough as that, right? There are decisions you're going to make. It's even natural. You're not even going to. It's not something that okay, maybe you try to make the decision. No, the decision is going to just come, and then you're just going to be like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to feel that way anymore. Right?
Like after the relationship, I said I was going to write a book about it because you know that thing.
We are here for that. We're here for that. It was said here first.
Yeah, it deserves to be written, right? But I'm still like healing. Yeah, I'm actually still healing from it because after that relationship, I tried to like go into other relationships, right? But I just feel like okay,
there was a lot of.
I have not actually dealt with my trauma, so I'm like okay. You're not ready for a new relationship. You just keep taking your time. Even when anybody comes, you can just tell them
friends.
Let's take it easy, right? Long story short, relationships can break you. Really, they can really destroy you.
I'm sure before then you were like, I'm a hard guy. I can never cry for
I've
man.
always been a hard guy.
But say you.
Oh, I almost died.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I almost died. Like the things I even did.
It shocked you.
I was shocked because me cry like this for a man.
Yeah, that's really
call a babe because you're cheating on me with this person. Call them and tell them or send them a message. Who the hell are you? I'm a freaking speck. Are you fucking stupid? Right? My sisters were even the ones that were setting my head straight, and my friends too. Like my friends were there. Like my twin told me. Candy, it's like you don't know that you're a speck. You are a speck. Friends, because I have one friend, she's so materialistic. Right? She's very, very materialistic. And I'll tell her, you're just going into this thing because you want money, you want bone straight, you want car, you want. Is that everything in this life? You enter the thing finish, they will beat you, they will destroy your life. And then what next? Do you get? You're advising somebody. Look at me.
Take the advice.
Materialistic.
Yeah.
Nothing to show for it.
Yeah. But right?
I'm still myself. I'm still standing strong. I'm still fine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still a speck.
Yeah. You're definitely still a speck. This whole video is about you being a speck, girl. If you don't know.
But anyway, relationships would almost kill you. But then that's not to say that there are no great relationships. They are perfect relationships. Because nothing is perfect. Don't allow anybody tell you how to live your life, or don't allow people speak negative things into your life. That's it. Yeah. If you say yes, my relationship will be perfect. Your relationship will be perfect. There are people that have perfect relationships. Don't tell me anything.
When it's good.
I have Jesus in me. Are you telling me that Jesus is not perfect?
Exactly.
I'll tell him what I want, and he will give me what I want. See. So that's just it. Tell God what you want. Yeah. And I'm sure that each time I sit down to think about my relationships, right, where I'm coming from, and I'll be like, okay, you are the one that is using your hand and your mouth to scatter your relationship by yourself. You know why? Because you tell God, this is what I want. You by yourself, you can't do what you don't want. Hey God, what do you think you're doing? It's just going to scatter now because that's not what God says. That's not what you are the one that went there by yourself. But it's just human nature, right? Sometimes we can be asking for bigger things, but because those other things that are coming, they look like big things. But they're not the big things that you have, or the bigger things. But they just look fancy. For now, it's just on the outside they are fancy. Come on, they're not fancy inside. Then you now go and the thing will scatter. You will just cry and wail and weep. You almost kill yourself, but you will not die. Really, you are not gonna die. Me, I did not die. So why should you die?
You can't die.
I almost died, but you not die. You cannot die. So please,
love it.
You will not die. Really. no matter what it is you're going through, is it a man that broke your heart? You will still come out of it. I came out of it.
Don't drink sniper.
So nobody is dying anywhere.
Please.
Live your life. If you kill yourself now, the person that you are killing yourself,
He will be living his own life. He will be enjoying himself. He will ask God for forgiveness. And
you understand?
He will be there. You
So that's it, really. Oh no, it made me tough. Right? It made me really tough. Even now, there are some people around, but these days I don't even have time to reply messages. It's that bad. I mean, I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
I'm doing other things.
Yeah.
But sometimes I might even open the message. I thought I had replied, but I never replied. I'll just read it. Thank God I had to go and turn off my read receipt so that you know when I've read it. Because I don't want you to come out and tell me, oh, I sent you a message and you read it. Thank you, Mark Zuckerberg, for giving us that. So that I can, I'll ghost.
Okay.
Peace.
You can go see people. Oh, shout out to Mark. Okay. So, I mean, that's a lie. Because she's a lie. Shout out to Mark. Anyway. But the point is, I really love what you said. Like, I saw, the funniest thing, it almost feels like, when you've metamorphosed, you've gone around the 360, right? You've gone to the heartbreak. We were there, we saw something. And I felt your pain because I know what it's like to be really invested in a really great relationship.
Yeah.
Something you've seen. And that kind of heartbreak actually, it touches deep. Oh, Wale, you understand? And it's very easy to get very jaded from then on. Like, to now say, you know what, F this. And that's the villain story. That's the villain story of all the players in the world, right?
But me, I'm not a player.
Yeah, exactly.
I tell people, if you go through tough times, doesn't mean that you should
not come back and be evil to other people.
Come on.
Share,
that means the other person has won.
Exactly.
You are trying to avoid.
Exactly.
I'm not going to do that.
Exactly.
I'm not going to make somebody else suffer for somebody else's mistake.
Exactly.
No, that's foolish.
Exactly. Because the villain himself is there living his own life, and then you are now hurting other people.
That means that's who you are.
Exactly. Very true. Very true. So, like, it just makes so much sense that you said, okay, you know what, you can actually be tougher than this. You can actually go through all this and still come out, and you can actually still find a good person, right? And it's also good to heal and talk about it and let it off your chest so that you don't take all that negative energy into the new. You understand? You can have rebounds and everything and let it go, but still come back to who you truly are and then be open to the good. And you know what? Guess what? Audience now, your husband coming there. What? I'm looking at you even says, you look like you will go through 4-factor certification. And me, I can fight.
I know. She's gonna
tell them I can fight. So if you don't want to come correct,
very true.
Over. But let's go back to the very beginning. See, you told us a lot. You told us how your parents had to, kind of your background making you like a bit more self-reliant. You told us, about the story of grief and how like that has also shaped you and helped you to even be like a mother or something to your siblings. That's another level of independence that you had to take on without choice. You understand? And having to still be great, be a role model for your siblings and all that. And then like relationship, being an introvert, right, means that you have to pick and choose your friends and all that. And even being like that guy that people are like, she is snob, she not a snob. It's even something that you have to be tough about. Do you understand? Because they will be saying things about you that may not even be true.
Yeah.
Do you understand? All that kind of stuff. So that whole full life now comes to the person I met, right? The person I met at work, and I'm like, see, I was even one side eye to look at this guy like, who are you? Like, why are you doing straight face? What's wrong with you? Because I'm an introvert, but I'm a fake smiling. Let me say it like that, fake smiling introvert. Because sometimes, like my real face, this is my face. Straight, like my resting face is straight because people assume that like I'm a very allowing people in person. But I'm actually not that. I'm actually very specific about like people I let into my space, right? So meeting you, I was like, is she coming in or is she staying out? That's the question I always ask every time I meet a new person. And of course, the things you said, like, oh, is this person smart? Is this person like same values with me? All that kind of stuff. And I just kept studying you. And I saw that, you're like a formal guy, but you're actually a softie, right? Do you get? So you would not be four, like there are moments that you don't want four, and I'm like, oh, beautiful. And I like people like that because it means they're real softies. Do you get what I mean? Like there are people that don't form hard guy, but they are actually mean. They're actually very wicked and mean, and they're actually very dishonest and lack integrity and all that. And it's not really. It's better for you to be tough on the outside, and when people get in, they can see something good, right? And so that kind of endeared me to you. But I think the biggest thing, which is like my biggest struggle, is being like self-disciplined and hardworking and like consistent with the great things I want to do in my life. Do you understand? And anytime I see someone who is able to do that, I feel very very attractive. In fact, those are the type of friends I keep around me because I want to keep getting motivated.
Yeah.
Do you understand? To be that person. So coming back to how the discipline era. So we've seen the story. Like every villain has their story, and every hero has their story, right? We've seen the story, and we've seen how you got to the person you are today. But what would you say is the biggest thing that keeps you consistent in terms of like work and all the things that you do generally? Like now you say you're going to start your LinkedIn, you continue start. Look at us, right? You said everything that you say. She said she wanted to go to the gym. This girl went to. I paid all the bills of iFitness, and she's like, she's become a gym rat. Like why? Like I don't understand how you do it. So just tell us how that person is you and how what makes it easy for you, what the struggle, if it's even hard for you, tell us how you can become
right.
like you.
Okay, so I think that what keeps me going, what helps me do the things that I say I will do, are putting in place measures, right? When I say I wanted to like start gymming, take my fitness journey I had to pay. In fact, I started last year, remember, and then I stopped. Right? But one of the reasons why, in fact, the major reason why I stopped was because my trainer almost killed me. Yes. Shout out to so when I got home, I told myself, if something happens to me in that gym now, maybe your leg breaks. And they call your father. Would it not be running up and down? So I just thought, okay, calm down. So when my money got exhausted, I said, just wait first. It's not even as if you are not big or something. Everybody says you are fit. Well, I know that I'm not as fit as I want to be. So this year, I told myself, okay, I was going to go back to the gym in March, right? And I went back. So what I did is, because when I went back, I felt worse pain than I did when I started the gym last year, right? Now that's one thing about gymming. Once you stop and you go back, you are gonna feel like shit, right? So I had to pay for the whole quarter. Right, so that's like a measure that I put in place so that I will not waste my money. I'm very, very particular about spending my money. It's not going to waste, right? So I did that, and then I also tried to buy food that are healthy, so I stay away from junk as much as possible. So I make sure that those things are in the house, right? Because if you don't have those things in close proximity, trust me, you are going to relapse. Exactly. Yes. So those are, I try as much as possible to put in place measures, and those are what helps me. In terms of work, right? I think I got this from my parents, right? You cannot be slothful. In my house, you just cannot be slothful, right? My father will wake you up early in the morning and tell you, I don't know what that means, but he says that morning and you have to say, for God's sake, I have nothing to do.
Done is day, actually, it's done.
In peace. But no, I'm a growing child. I'm not an adult yet. Please, can I just sleep? When I become an adult, I know that my sleep will be taken away by work and adulthood. But no, my father will tell you, wake up. Get up in the morning, just open your door. You are up already. So that's things like that are what shaped me, right? So when it comes to work, you have to wake. Thank God for FSH, we work hybrid. So days where I'm supposed to go to the office, I wake up 5:30. My body has already been programmed to wake up 5:30. But there are some times where you're tired, right? So you still struggle because you're human, of course. But I'll still wake up 5:30. I might still go back to sleep for maybe another 30 minutes or 20 minutes, but I'm already awake, right? And then I try to do all the things I need to do. So another thing that helps me get to work is listen to this I pick up my clothes for the week.
For the weeks, guys. So that 5 days.
I don't have to think about it because I always like to look my best, right? If you catch me not looking my best, something must be up in my life. So any day you see me looking not like because of fresh that just know that something is up somewhere. right? So I try to like take out my clothes for the week. So I've gotten that off my to do. I have my clothes sorted, and I go to work, and then our work is fun. We've not just created a workplace that is just all about the work.
Yeah.
See already now. This is how we're just like we've known ourselves for years.
Yeah.
That's how we are on our team, right? And then when you have a work environment like that, you are motivated to want to meet those people.
Yeah.
Right. So that's another thing that gets me going to work, that motivates me to go to work. Then what actually makes me do my job, right?
Write this down.
Number one,
Things.
I'm getting paid for it, right? And the fact that I'm getting paid for something, I don't want you to come and hound me to do my job, and I don't want you to catch me being slothful at my job, because I don't like being embarrassed. I don't want you to say, "Oh, Keke, why have you not?" No way. If I don't do it, maybe I have so many things, and they are of more priority than that. That's why I've not done it, right? So all of these things, I hate embarrassment. So I'm going to do my job. That's why I'm getting paid. Then another thing is, I don't like being cheated, right? So I don't want to do it to somebody else, because I always put myself in the other person's shoes, right? So if this person was me, would I want to be cheated? No. So I think that, okay, I'm getting paid for this thing, so I must do it. If I don't do it, that means I'm cheating them. Even sometimes, maybe when I'm on my phone, when I'm supposed to be working, and that's because sometimes, as a creative, you have brain block, and then you just have to, take your mind off that work and get your creative juice from somewhere. So you just pick up your phone and do other things, just get yourself back in that creative zone. When I'm even doing that during work hours, I'm still feeling guilty. You're supposed to be working. They're paying you to work. What are you doing with your phone? What are you doing on social media? But things like that are things that motivate me to do my job. My values. You need to know what you are, who you are, for you to even do something. If you don't know what you are or who you are, trust me, you're just gonna be doing whatever it is anywhere face. That's what you're gonna be doing.
Yeah.
So I mean,
so wait, because me, I want us to pull out everything that we got from here, right? So there's a lot of things that she said, right? Of course, there's a childhood element, of which, even if you don't have the childhood element, like I said, I don't have childhood element in terms of, my parents were hardworking, but they didn't force us, so they didn't, do you understand? They weren't telling us, wake up at a certain time, even though we naturally had to wake up by 5:30, because we had to leave the house because we're taking their driver, so so I'm used to 5:30. But apart from that, it wasn't like any specific die on the job. We're more interdependent. We had lessons teacher, all those type of things. But when I saw that, that was a struggle for me, I make sure that I have people around me who motivate me to be that kind of thing. So even if you don't have the childhood thing, you can have the adulthood thing where you put yourself in a position to be successful, right? And then you said something about you don't like to be cheated.
Yeah. Oh, I hate it.
You don't like to be cheated, so you don't want to cheat someone else. I've never heard somebody say it or think about it like that. And that's very crazy, because imagine cheating. When you think about cheating, you think about direct but actually, if you're being slothful at your job, you're actually cheating your boss, right? And in the full, if you want to use English to say it, right, that's also taking ownership. Because you're thinking of yourself like your boss, and thinking of yourself like a leader, to be thinking that, oh wow, I don't want to be cheated, so I shouldn't cheat other people. So that's a really great thing. The second thing, and if you don't have that mindset, you can't get the mindset, in the sense that read things about it. Make sure that you want to have a strong understanding of your values, what is personal to you. So when you're talking about the gym, you're saying something like, oh, you don't like to waste your money, which is something that I really, really hate. You get, so if there are little things like that that irk you, you can use that as something to hold yourself down, to make yourself a bit more disciplined. Tell them one thing that you would like them to take away from this episode, one thing that you would like anybody who is trying to get into their self-discipline era, right? One thing that you would like them to take home from this podcast today that would make them better, right? Okay.
So I think that one thing that I want you to take out from this is know your values, right? Know who you are, right? If you don't know who you are right now, you can actually sit down, take a break, think around where you're coming from, where you are now, and then think around where you want to be. Then from there you can now begin to couch your values will definitely start coming out from that. That's when you know where you're going to. Then you write out those things and then think around how to get there, right? So it will definitely help you.
Right. So she's told you hold on to the set of values that you've written down, and that's how you can get to those self-discipline. Right? Yeah, please. Let's give more emojis in the chat box for AKA KK. I call her Jerry. There's lots of names that I call her, but you can't get. I'm very, very excited that you came to the Better Podcast.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Kehinde Kadiri. I'm here with Aurea. She invited me after so many years. I finally showed up. So I'm going to say you should come back here. I mean, you can tell that there's so many things that you can learn from the Better Podcast. Come back here, share with your friends, share with your enemies as well, share with everybody that you know, right? Share with your contacts, share with your colleagues, share with everyone. Like this video, like all of the videos, go and watch all of the videos, like them. Drop your comments, drop anything that you've learned and anything that you want to share in the comment section as well. Thank you everyone.
So thank you for joining today. If you stay to this part, you are the real MVP. You are a boss. You've been doing this since 1990, right? And we're proud of you, right? So but you deserve more. And the only way that I can help you is if you continue watching all the other videos that we'll be showing here. So you can just click on anyone, or you can also just share, put it on your status, put it on your YouTube, put it everywhere. Just share with someone, let them know about the Better Podcast if you want to keep getting better, so we can keep doing better and getting better for you. Anyway, hope you heard a lot of gist today. Hope you liked the gist you heard, and we hope to see you next time. Bye.